Alright, that was a really great lunch, man. Shoot. Man, that was delicious. Mel rocked that one out. Now, here I am. I continue informing down this wall. Let me go back here to the end of it and show you coming down, which I got some scrap wood leaning against it, but as you see, I'm forming all the way down. So I'll show you a couple things I'm putting in. Now, the best I know on this terminology, these are called bucks. I'm building in where there's a sliding glass door right here. So you can see there's a little frame starting to come up, and you see the form, and it looks like it's making a corner. This is actually the opening. I'm coming down to here for a sliding glass door where it's going. This one right here, let me get it where you can see it better. So this piece made right here, I'm not saying it's made perfect, I'll explain it here in a minute, but this is the opening size for a window we already have. So when you pour the concrete, you want this outside edge as your opening size, and this is like what they'll call a buck. If there's a better term for it, nobody beat me up, just share it, but as far as I know, they're called bucks. And we put this in into the wall up here. You see where the steels drop down? We'll put that in. I've already got lines drawn, perfect where it's going, nice and level and square. It's already all set. Get that in, it'll be screwed to the plywood on the other side. Then when we put the plywood on this side, it'll be screwed in again. These corner pieces, if you're wondering why they're random sizes, it was just drops, it was scraps, but they had good square corners on them. It stiffened it up, it squares it up. We double checked it with the framing square. It's perfect. We put these 2x2s to help transfer load across. And once it's in there, we'll probably reinforce it just a little bit more, but it'll be wrapped in plywood all the way around. Now another thing that I'll show you a little bit more once it's already in there is that you can take a hole saw and in your bottom part down here, bore you some holes in down through there. Go down through there and bore holes in. And the reason being, that concrete, when you pour this wall, it's got to try to go in underneath this window from both sides and get into the lower part of this wall. Well, it's hard for it to flow like that. You need to punch it and help it and work it. So if we make holes, we can get in there and punch that and work it and help bring that up and know when it's filled up to the top to those holes right there. You can just chisel that off smooth later, take a cutting wheel, whatever you need to do when you remove this buck out of there. It's inside of a window jamb, so whatever little rough cement's there is going to be hid behind the window frame anyway. I've got one more door opening right here where the steel's missing. That's a walk-through wood door. It'll be right there as well. So this is where I'm at. As you see, I've got electrical set, tied, wrapped, glued, tied, all right in here. Like those are our electrical outlets. Here at the top of this form, here's just inside the sliding glass door where a light switch will be. It's there. When we put up the next section of forms on there, we'll run the conduit on it. Come on down here, it's the same thing. Just inside this wood frame door, light switch, be the same thing. Once we get it all finished and we frame up the next section, we'll run the conduit on it. So there it is. Kind of see what's going on here. See the all thread, as they call full thread here, and you see there's the PVC that works as a spreader, and there you go. Another thing we did is we went along the bottom of the plywood. We pulled a nylon string right here, perfectly level from one side of the structure to the other to run the tops of that plywood. And they did not get those tie beams level, so we went through with some pieces of broken tile. Since that can kind of stay in the cement anyway, if it gets poured in, it won't rot you know it's something solid. And we shimmed up the plywood to get all of it perfectly level. And that's pretty important. Let me tell you why. If you want a nice smooth finish, when you have two pieces of plywood butting up like right here, you don't want it to have a 1/4 inch gap at the bottom and completely tight at the top, or vice versa. You know, you want that nice and snug, and that's less work you have to do later of chiseling and cleaning up. And overall, if you know you're pulling those and they're nice and level, you know that everything's coming out really well. The materials are easier to work. You don't get where one piece of plywood's higher than the other one, you know, and it starts making it hard. You try to set your next form on top and, you know, it's all jag up and down. So get your bottom row shot in. That's why we want to go ahead and shoot this whole entire bottom across here. One complete wall. Get the form shot. Find your high spot first. Find your high spot first, and it's the way we did it. And then we work from there. Whatever concrete leaks under, there's going to be a floor poured anyway, so it doesn't matter. It does not matter. And that's another thing. These jambs right here for the sliding glass door, for the walk-through door, and even the window height, I have already compensated down there for the thickness, how much the concrete's going to be on the floor. I've already compensated for the thickness of floor tiles or anything, so that all of that works out right for where you want your window height and where you want your door opening and a jamb or anything, where it's all going to come out. Sit, think, and do your math. You got to think ahead, you got to think ahead, you got to think ahead. Show you this real quick. My little sprouted tomatoes are still growing here. Still growing. At this point, they are completely waiting on every move they do based on what I tell them. We're only running 3 people working right now. 2 what they call Massoons, Joelle and her uncle, and Marvin is working. Now, sometimes Miller's still helping one brother, and sometimes Marlon's still helping one brother. And if I need them, I can call on them. They'll be over here. But at this point, I'm going to run this thing at a smooth, steady pace, and we're going to get everything perfect. And I'm going to see to it. If there's a mistake, shame on me. So I'm going to get back busy here, and I'll follow up on this again after a while. Alright guys, y'all see me get this thrown up there just then. I already had all my marks already there, all pulled level, already pulled square. I'd already checked with the framing square on this. Already knew it was perfectly square. That big piece in the corner really helps keep it tightened up square. And so I know it's on. We've already checked these things many times. So now, you see this will be sandwiched in here. It'll be sandwiched in. There'll be another piece of plywood here. As I said, right along this bottom, drill you some holes. It's just inside your window frame. You can clean it up so you can work that concrete in there with a rod or a vibrator. Probably just a rod on this one, because some of those concrete vibrators, they're kind of big around, hard to get through a small hole. So yep, you want to do that. Now here's the next thing. When you are framing these forms and you want to reuse this form board, you also got to think about this. Every place you place a screw, I'm not really using no nails on this, but a screw, Can I get back to that screw to remove it when I am breaking these forms down off here, when I'm doing a tear down of my forms? Can I get back to that screw to remove it so that I don't have to damage my plywood? This is reusable plywood. Can I do that? So you want to always make sure whatever you do, don't do something that's locked away and you can't get to it. For instance, like these screws I just now put in here, I can get back to those because when I pull this outside sheathing back off right here, there they are. There they are. But now let me show you another example of what you couldn't do. This is a corner starting to form around a column here, you see. I temporarily shot some screws in here on the back side. You see that screw? This is only temporary until I get a piece put in this outside corner. And before we pour concrete or close this up, I'll come in there and pull those 3 temporary screws because those will be stuck inside the form and I won't be able to access them to easily break my forms back down. So those are just to hold in place, hold square till I get what I want on the other side in those corners. And like I say, then I'll step over here, pull those out before we put our outside sheathing. Think ahead, think ahead, think ahead. And I suggest again bringing lots of screws if you're from overseas and you plan on building here in the Philippines or maybe some other country that some of these materials that we're used to in our countries have been easily to get. They're not all easy to get here or they can be extremely pricey. So buy you one of those big old buckets of 3-inch screws. Buy you a big bucket of 1 5/8 or 2-inch or whatever you like to work with, whatever works best with the material you're going to be using, and bring those because here it is mostly nail, and they're not even real good quality nails. I mean, I'm just saying like it is. A lot of these nails I see, they can be considered almost like a coal, and where we're from. So you want to think about that. You know, bring that stuff with you. If you're going to be dealing with cement, bring you a assortment of anchors as well. Lead anchors, plastic anchors, whatever kind of anchors you want to use in concrete, because you're going to use them from everything to hanging pictures on the walls, to hanging doors, to working windows, to everything. Everything is going to be an anchor. Masonry bits. Now, they are pretty readily available here at this time. They are regular drill bits and steel bits. Bring some bits. Bring some screws. Bring some bits. Alright, that's my information at this point in time. I'm going to get back busy here. I got to build another buck for a door opening that's going to come out of our old home. So I'm going to get off here and see you again here. So I thought I'd take time and show you another little tip, another little trick here on cutting wood in general, in case maybe it's something you're going to try to take on yourself. But also, not just cutting wood in general, making sure you keep a perfectly straight line when you're cutting the wood for these bucks. Like this is a 4-inch. You want it straight, you want it clean, you don't want wiggles and gaps and all that. So it's an easy way right here to make you a little fence, a guard, a guide, whatever you want to call it, to rip plywood. Let me show you. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I need to cut me a 4-inch piece here, and I want my saw to run right along this other sheet of plywood and use it as a guide down through there to get a perfect cut. So with some measurement to get my 4 inches, that 0 mark right there, plus this piece here to run the guide, in my particular saw, that came out 5 3/4. So I moved over 5 3/4, the other end 5 3/4. Then to keep it from moving, I shoot me a screw in here, a screw in the other end. All of this back wall formed across here. A patio sliding glass door opening made. We got a 3-foot walk-through wood door opening made, and we got a 3x7 sliding glass window opening made. So those are called bucks, and those will remove after you pour the concrete, and you'll have a finished out opening ready to put your door or window in after you skim coat it up, which is just kind of like a little thin hardened white coat that you can get everything smooth, kind of like bondoing in a way. I say we probably got half day in the morning to just make sure that it's right. Now, we're not like setting the world on fire in record times right now, because trying to get everybody up to speed, it's a learning process for them right now, and they're doing good. And it's a learning process for me as well, because I'm having to do this with makeshift materials. So one of the things is me trying to be so precision I shouldn't be. It's kind of bites me sometimes. I drilled the holes, you know, so exact through the cocoa lumber, so exact through the form board. And the problem with doing that is it's kind of hard getting your bolts through there. You know, it's threaded, it wants to grab. What if the wood swells, things like that. So I've learned a lesson already, and that's to oversize those holes. You got a big flat washer you're putting on there anyway. You got a big tube going through there, a 1/2 inch tube. So I went ahead and got like a 5/8 bit, and this last form we did after fighting with one, trying to be so perfect, but it's gonna bite me when I go to pull that apart, I'm telling you. And when I do, I'm gonna re-drill all those holes and oversize them. Right there, there you go. There's you some time saved from my mistake right there. All right, everybody out there, thanks again. And I think by tomorrow midday, if the weather's right and we have enough help here, I told them to look for some day labor for half day tomorrow. I think we might be pouring our first walls on the house tomorrow. That's pretty awesome. That is. And this will move fast. I tell you, I'm loving working hands-on on this. I'm loving it. Appreciate you all out there, and take care.